Shabbat shalom, everyone. Can you all hear me all right? Beautiful. We're so glad that you've come to join us on this beautiful, beautiful evening. It's almost like we ordered it off the menu. Excuse me. That beautiful evening causes allergies for some bizarre reason. I think that the leaves are beginning to disintegrate, and that's always a time that makes the nose go. We are thrilled and honored that the Jemsek Albert family are here. They're going to be celebrating Sawyer's bar mitzvah tomorrow, and that you're all here too to support this young man as he enters into the Jewish community. In just a moment, we're going to be on page 120. But this beautiful poem from Alden Salvi called Before the Beginning. From eternity, from the place beyond the highest heavens, where stillness is motion and motion is stillness, where nothing and everything meet, where time and timelessness are one, God imagined a universe in which existence could only be by first creating light. Vayehi Erev, Vayehi Voker, Yom Echad, and there was evening, and there was morning, a first day. Thank you to Alden Salvi for that beautiful suggestion. On page 120, you'll find our candle blessing. We'd like to invite forward members of Sawyer's family to help us kindle the lights of Shabbat. Page 120.
As the Shabbat candles give us light, to all who behold them, so may we. By our lives, give us light to all who behold. As the brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who kindle the light, so may we, in our own day, among those who kindle light.
Thank you so much. You may be seated. On page 123, you'll find Kiddush for Erev Shabbat. 123, we invite you to rise physically or spiritually. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pari hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'asei v'reshit, ki hu yom tehillah lemikra'ei kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, ki anu v'harta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinhaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat L'chaim. It's our finest vintage of juice. You may be seated. So you might notice that Ruth Seidner is not with me tonight. She is on vacation, and I seem to have pinched a nerve in my neck. So luckily you don't have to listen to my guitar skills. We also were supposed to have Rabbi Toby Manowith here with us, and unfortunately she was not able to make it at the very last minute. But I am grateful that we are together nonetheless. And so we'll continue with a beautiful reading on page 125. If you would join with me in reading together. Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished. Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of the burdens that must return. On this day, Shabbat abide. Help us to withdraw for a while from the flight of time. Contain the retreat of the hours and days from the grasp of frantic life. Let me learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter a quiet world this day. On this day, Shabbat abide. Judaism has long had a gratefulness practice and a presentness practice. Tomorrow, one of the prayers that we're going to be doing together is one that just notices, really is just an alarm clock to say, look at the sky, look at the flower, look at the wind. And if we were to really take in all of those things and say, they are a miracle, we are present among miracles, well, it would change everything for all of us, wouldn't it? We continue on page 138.
Lecha lecha dodi, lekra kala, vale Shabbat negava la la la. Lecha dodi, lekra kala, vale Shabbat negava la la la. Lecha dodi, lekra kala, vale Shabbat negava la la la. Lecha dodi, lekra kala, vale Shabbat negava la. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmi anu el hamichad, Adonai echad, U'shemo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'glit hila, Lecha dodi, lekra la la, V'le Shabbat negava la la la, Lecha dodi, lekra kala, V'le Shabbat negava la. Boi v'shalom ater ba'ala, Gam b'simcha u'v'tzola, Toch emunei am segula. Boi chala la la, Lecha dodi, lekra kala, Panei Shabbat negava la la la, Lecha dodi, lekra kala, Panei Shabbat negava la la la, Lecha dodi, lekra kala.
Page 140 has this great little piece in the middle. It's where the indentation is. Tzadik katamar yifrach, that the righteous are going to bloom like date palm, that they will thrive like cedars in Lebanon. But what's cool about it is it allows us all to join in by a simple
Tzadik katamar yifrach, Tzadik katamar yifrach, Tzadik katamar yifrach, Tzadik katamar yifrach, Ke'erez balvanon yizgeh, 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 Ke'erez balvanon yizgeh.
Page 145. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer, on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days. Lest my day be today as the ones before, lest routine set my ways. One of the joys of being bar mitzvah is that it's not actually about reading Torah. It's about the mitzvah of being responsible to lead one's community. And Sawyer is going to be leading us right now in the Baruch Hu. We invite you to rise physically or spiritually. La, 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 Baruch et Adonai hamevorach Baruch Adonai hamevorach le'olam va'ed. We read together page 149. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn?
Or cross over. This is the hour of change. Within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw it back, my brother and my sister, or cross over?
Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv haravim. Page 151, we read responsively. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. Then this holiness of your works in the living language that gives it form. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Ashma Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Bruhem Kivot, Malhuto Leolam Va'ed.
You may be seated. Ve'afta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavecha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha ve'hayu hadevarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha Vishinanta levaneha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lachtecha v'derech uv'shochmeha uv'kumeha ukshasham leot v'yadeha v'hayu letotafot b'eineha uktavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvishareha lehan tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim Elohehem ani Adonai Elohehem asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim Leot lachem, le'Elohim, ani Adonai Elohem. On page 158, we find a freedom song that we continue to sing, and continue to be our hope that, of course, all someday are free. And yet, some days it feels farther than ever. The only way we get from here to there, this prayer book tells us, is by joining hands and going together. This song has a distinction, doesn't it, Sawyer? Yeah. It's the woo in the middle. I live for that woo. La 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 ya la 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 woo la 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 ya la 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 ya la la la
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושי פלא, נורא תהילות עושי פלא. מלכותך ראו במה, בוקי הים לפני משה. זה אלי אנו ואמרו, זה אלי אנו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. לה 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 La 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 ya la 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 la. Page 162 at the top of the page. V'shameru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asod et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. So this prayer comes from this particular week's Torah portion, which tells us very clearly there are 6 days which God creates. But the 7th day, God realizes that both God and the people he creates and the animals that he creates need a day to resoul themselves. That's what Vayin Nafash actually means. It's the word for soul, and we must resoul. There is, of course, this lovely suggestion that on Shabbat you receive a second soul, and then we bid it goodbye as Shabbat ends. It's quite lovely, but it does give us a sense that there is a God that wishes us a protection and cares for our ability to slow down, just if it's just for one day. The Tefillah prayers, page 164, as I invite you to rise physically or spiritually. Adonai, Safatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Velohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Velohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Velohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor V'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei HaHakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot V'imahot, U'mevi Geula L'ifnei B'nei Ha'am, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ve'ezrat Sarah, Ata Gibor Le'olam Adonai, V'chayei HaKol Ata, Rav Le'Hoshia, Mashiv HaRuach, U'morid HaGashem, Mechakel Chayim B'chesed, V'chayei HaKol B'rachamim Ramim, Somech Noflim, V'rofeh Chulim, U'matir Asurim, U'mekayem Emunato L'shnei Afar, V'chamocha Ba'al Gevurot, U'mido Melach, Melech linit umchaye, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman ata lahachayot hakol. Baruch ata Adonai, mechaye hakol. Ata kadosh, v'shim hakadosh, u'kadoshim b'ho yom Eloha, Salah. Baruch ata Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. We ask you to take a moment to examine the meditations of your heart. If you'd like to look around the prayer book, please don't hesitate to do so. And when you are ready and your thoughts are exhausted, please be seated. Bless you. Da, 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 dum, da, da. Say shalom b'meruma, say shalom aleinu, ve'akol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imeru, ve'imeru. Amen. I'd like to invite forward Noah, Sawyer's sister, and Cece and Edie to open the ark doors. And with the rest of you, please kindly rise. Shabbat Achim Ga'yah. You can sit down too, baby. You may be seated. In just a moment, I'm going to call up Sawyer's mama and aunt. So as I was saying, we have a little bit of a plan B today. So the Torah is not exactly in the space that I need to be. And Rabbi, no thanks, I appreciate it, but I'm a professional, don't try this at home. Thank you, though, very kind of you to ask. This particular Torah portion is the same the one we read at Simchat Torah. So we read the very end and the very beginning. We'll be reading the beginning again. But I wanted to talk about this word, Reshit. We don't really know what it means. In Reshit, we translate it to be in the beginning. But how wonderful it is that even the very first word of the Torah is open to interpretation. It allows us all, I hope, the freedom to say, this is my book, and I can decide what the words mean to me. It allows for so many different interpretations that we all can learn from. Tomorrow you're going to learn from Sawyer's interpretation of a little bit farther in the parasha. Also, the very last word of the Torah is Yisrael, which ends with a lamed. The very first word again, Bereshit, we say, but there is no dots in the Torah. There are no vowels, there's no punctuation, there's no cantillation marks or song. That's something you learn to do. If you put that lamed and that vet together, it makes the word lev, which is the word for the human heart. Because everything, this entirety of the 5 books, is right in here. I'd like to invite forward Hallie and Merida. Just 1 second, Sand, I'll be right there. Come on up here, guys, to this other side of me, if you don't mind. Right there. My pleasure. We're going to be on the very first page, which, not the very first page of the book, but the very first word of the very first page, and it actually is on page 1, but there's some Roman numerals before it.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorah.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Leolam Vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Now I know where Sawyer gets his pipes. Yeah. Amen. Don't go down yet. No. Stay here. No leaving me. I don't know what I'll do up here alone. Amen. Reshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. V'haaretz hayta tohu v'vohu v'hoshech al pnei tohom v'ruach Elohim merachafet al pnei hamayim. Vayomer Elohim yehi or, vayehi or, vayar Elohim et haor kitov, vayavdel Elohim ben haor uven haoshech, vakara Elohim laor yom v'lahoshech kara laila. Vayehi erev, vayehi voker, yom echad. So in Reshit, or is often translated in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And the earth was a mishmash mess. We're going to talk a little bit about these words, tohu vavohu. It's alliteration. No, maybe it's not alliteration. I'll ask the writer. Let's just say it sounds a lot alike, and it makes for a sort of a dancing in the mouth. But it really, mishmash mess, I think, is an excellent translation, even if I did steal it from somebody else. V'choshech al panei tehom, and there was darkness on the face of the deep. V'ruach Elohim, and this can mean two things. It could mean the breath of God, or it could mean the wind of God. Merachafet al panei hamayim. Well, God's breath or wind hovered over the face of the water. Vayomer Elohim yehi or, and God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God separated the light and the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness, well, God called that night. And there was evening, and there was morning, day one. Now notice it says there was evening, and then there was morning, which is why Jews celebrate a holiday, and Shabbat as well, evening first, then morning.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Thanks so much. Sawyer, would you bring up the mantle for me? Thank you, sweetheart. Mantle, for the mantle. Our thoughts turn to those in our midst who are in need of refuat shlema, the need of wholeness of body or spirit or mind. And we are asked to think of Aviva Aliza, Jody Ashenhertz, John Archer, Steve Barron, Rosalie Bertocchi, David Burchett, Amanda Clemens, George Dean, Stephen Engelman, Craig Freeman, Julia Friedman, Eslyn Garb, Marcy Gelber, Phyllis Goldblatt, Don Grandolfo, Leah Jones, Carl Colbin, Jeffrey Krause, Celinda Levine, Miriam Lyon, Gerald Marks, Deborah Miller, Eileen McNichols, Sharon Montesi-Garskoff, Eileen Nobar-Stack, Lois Pavilon, Rich Reisman, Alan Sager, Casey Ciengo, Fred Skier, Kristen Rouse Skinner, Tali Stein, Lavana Orabat Svetlana, Cameron Michael Taft, Eddie Tucker, Avraham Ben Sivia, Edith Vosefsky, Sally Waitley, Andy Weber, Yosef Raphael Ben Yehudit, and if you would kindly send up a beautiful noise by calling out in unison the names that you are thinking of. Misha berach avotenu, Sarari Rivka leah Rachel. Misha berach avotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, veYaakov. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. You might have noticed I switched the mothers and fathers, and there's a good reason for that. When you remember someone for blessing, which is a Misha Berach, is a type of blessing. There's other Misha Berachs that don't include that for Refuat Shlema, but maybe you need, you're going on a trip to Israel. There's a Misha Berach for that. But when you're called for healing, you are called with your mother's name, not your father's name. So if I were, God forbid, sick, Emanuel Shabbat, Miriam. And so it's strange to me that the cantor whom I know, who wrote that beautiful piece of music, and no shade at all, put the fathers first. I think it's time to make a switch. I hope she doesn't mind. All right. In just a moment, we're going to place our Torah scroll back into the ark. And so I would be grateful if you would all please rise. And if Edie and Cece and Noah want to come up and open up those ark doors again, that would be quite wonderful. La 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la la ya la 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 ya la. So when we found out that Rabbi Toby needed to be with her family, as of course she did this evening, didn't have a sermon necessarily, but I had read something that I thought I should share with you by Rabbi Eli L. Garfinkel. And it talks about that tohu vavohu. So, the translation: the earth being unformed and void, or mine, a mishmash mess, with darkness over the surface of the deep, and a wind, or a breath, from God sweeping over the water. The Torah tells us that as God began to create the world, there was an extant chaos called tohu vavohu. The Talmud said that this duality of tohu vavohu fits a pattern with other dualities in the first chapter of the Torah: light and darkness, wind and water, earth and heaven, day and night. Various medieval commentators, however, question whether tohu vavohu was indeed a duality or whether it was one entity. Rashi says that the tohu was astonishing void. That is, the degree of emptiness was so complete that one who experienced it would be shocked. If this tohu were a variable in a computer code, its value would not be 0. It would be nil, not just empty, but non-existent. Rashi says that the vohu was emptiness and empty space. In other words, Rashi is saying that the tohu vavohu is a pleonasm, a redundant expression. Okay, now we know what it's called. Examples of pleonasms in English include anonymous stranger, reservations in advance, ATM machine, and ask a question. Okay, so why is my life chaotic? Your life is chaotic because of chaos. The tohu vavohu in Genesis 1:2 it's an inherent element of our existence. Many people misunderstand the first verses of Genesis to say there was chaos and then God put an end to the chaos. The Torah doesn't say that. It says that chaos existed, and then God created the world. God's creation of the world does not mean that the chaos was eliminated. I can get behind Sforno's interpretation. Sforno is a commentator. God created and used the tohu as the raw materials for the creation of the universe, the vohu as the appearance of the raw material. Our writer would like us to take Sforno's thinking one step further. The tohu is the chaos, and the vohu is the random nature of the chaos. Our lives are chaotic because random chance is the engine of our existence, both for that which we call good and that which we call bad. This is not heresy. I'm not saying there is neither law nor judge. Rather, I'm saying that God runs the universe through random chance. Albert Einstein, frustrated by the implications of relativity, protested that God does not play dice with the universe. In my opinion, God not only plays dice with the universe, but also the slots, roulette, blackjack, and other games based on random chance and possibility. The randomness of life is not an argument against God, but rather a testament to God. A computer cannot choose a truly random number. It can only use its programming to use a formula that selects a pseudo-random number, one that seems random to the human observer, but is not random in the true mathematical sense. Genuine randomness is beyond humanity's grasp, and to my mind, to our writer's mind, a divine attribute. When I read that, I thought, aha, it's okay to say that God does not micromanage the world, and that we, as agents of God's work, have a job to do, even in the midst of all this chaos. I'm going to have my buddy Sawyer come on up here and join me again, and we are going to begin to end with our concluding prayers, found on page 586, and I invite you to please rise. 586. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו כהמונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. You may be seated. Rabbi Karen Kedar crafted this lovely poem, Learning from Death. The true worth of a life is the story it has left behind. Tell it well. Search for meaning and understanding. Search for the truth. Did he teach you about love? Did she personify genius or sensitivity? Did his life warn you of the danger of bitterness and anger? As I stand and behold the eyes of those who mourn, I realize that the only difference between people in this world is not their wealth, fame, or success. The only difference is those who had love in their life and those who did not. Our congregation remembers Muriel Bender, Betty Bentheim, Morris Berman, Selma Boyer, Meta Niemann Brunn, Maxine Schneider-Dobrin, Martin X, Ida Heyman Friedman, Jerry Frippt, Lily Gelfand, Herman Lissow Goldstucker, Louis Hecht, Samuel S. Hollander, William Joseph, Morris Lowenstein, Selma S. Meyer, Norman Pearlstein, Marjorie Phillips, Abraham Schulman, Dr. Peter B. Siegel, Rose Schley, Ben Silver, David Silverstein, Ben Smolensky, Rosal Stein, Dorothy Wales, Hattie Weisberg, Nell Wexman, Gertrude Zoller, and in recent days, Joan Novick and Meredith Tax. I invite those in mourning to please rise first. Those observing a yard site. Jack, is there anyone on YouTube who's observing a yard site? And those whose custom it is to please rise now. Page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah be'alma divrach irutei v'yamlich malchutei b'hayachon u'v'yom echon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael ba'agala u'v'izman kari v'imru amen yehei shemei rabbah mevarach le'olam u'amei amaya yirbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yiromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kursha rihu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata da'miran be'alma v'imru amen yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen oseh shalom b'mramav hu ya'aseh shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all of you who are bereaved among us, and we all say, Amen. You may be seated. A huge mazel tov, the Jemsek Albert clan, We are grateful you shared not just Sawyer with us, but Noah and the rest of your family as well. And to all of you who are here tonight, who make Shabbat happen just by being here. Page 642 is our closing song. I feel this every time we have a bar bat mitzvah, which has been really every weekend in the fall, which has been quite lovely. I think since the middle of August, there's been a bar bat mitzvah every week, with the exception of maybe one or two. Anyway, I always feel, Am Yisrael Chai, we live. We live because as raising Jewish children, they are our hope. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. 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 Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Od Avinu Chai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael 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 Chai. Adonai oz la'amo yitain. Adonai oz la'amo yitain. Adonai oz la'amo yitain. Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. May God grant all of you with strength. May God bless all of God's people with peace. I wish you a Shabbat Shalom.